Yeah, so thank you all for coming along. My name is Tony McBride, and the purpose of this webinar basically is to teach you how to become a top candidate and secure your next role. I want to get a sense from everyone here. First of all, what are your backgrounds? So can you use the chat room for me just to tell me either what your current role is or what your most recent role has been, just so I can get a sense of the type of people who've got on the call today. Got PMO, go-to-market professionals in tech. I come from a tech professional services background as well, Monica. I have more PMOs, finance management, IT leaders, third line backup engineer. I'm sure you've seen some stressful times, delivery exec, product managers, ITs, PMOs, SaaS, financial services is creeping in as well. Good to see. I also come from Santander, so I know that feeling. So yeah, we've got a good mix of people here, so it's great to see that. Data analysts as well. So basically, I'm going to give an overview, first of all, of who I am and what I do and why I'm standing here talking to you guys. So I am Tony McBride. I'm in my late 30s. I'm not going to get away with that for much longer because I do turn 40 next year. But for now, I'm going to hold on as much as I can. As you probably can tell from my accent, I'm based in Belfast and I've been with my husband now for 15 years. That's going to be 16 actually next week. That is Bowser, the French bulldog. He is currently sleeping next to me. I love to travel. I almost said that he loves to travel, but no, he usually stays here while we're away. And yeah, fun fact about me, I had my first cup of coffee when I was 30. And as a present for Christmas last year, my husband bought me a barista lesson because that's how into coffee I am now. So yeah, just before this, I managed to get myself topped up on caffeine off the back of all of that. And I guess professionally, I'm an award winning. That's a recent thing, and that's the award. I don't know if you can see it there. CV interview and career transition coach. And I guess I'm here to help people sort of that mid to senior level move from one role to the next. So that's people who've been made redundant, people who are unhappy in their careers and want to try something different. And my area of expertise is basically tech transformation and enablement roles, so the likes of marketing, finance, all of those kind of stuff. Been with in financial services for 11 years and the big four for 8 years. So that's where I've kind of learned my craft. And I've done career coaching for 9 years in many different ways with shapes and forms. I am a certified CV writer. There's something called the British Association of CV Writers that I'd honestly never heard of until that moment. But I'm also the chair of the Career Transition Club, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later so you can get a sense of what that is and whether or not you'd like to be part of it. You might want to follow me on socials and all those kind of places, because we probably find each other on LinkedIn, but I also do YouTube videos. I do stuff on Instagram, Facebook, etc. So I'm just going to shamelessly drop the link in the chat there. And if you're watching on the recording, the links are all available in the comments as well. So again, thank you for joining me, and it's good to get to know you all a little bit more. So I guess, why are you here? You might be out of work or unhappy in your role and you want to make a change. Or simply you might be unsure exactly where you fit outside of the organization that you were working with. You could also be applying for lots of jobs, getting some interviews, maybe no interviews, but you're not really sure why and how that's happening in that space. You're landing the interviews, but you might be coming second place. So there's nothing worse than that feedback of, yeah, but this person had this, so we went for them, or that person is this. So you could be hearing loads of conflicting advice on the job market, and that might be a struggle for you because there's so many people like me out there. I'm not discrediting anyone else, but when they've got one thing to say and someone's got another, what do you do in the midst of all that? And you might just honestly want a big fat salary and a job that you're going to love doing. It is as simple as that. We spend so much time in work. Why would we not want to enjoy that? So can you drop the number of what one is most applicable for you? Drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if that's exactly where all of you are. But have a read of those and drop a number in. And if you think none of them are, you may as well go grab your lunch because this definitely isn't the session for you. Okay. So we've got some threes, lots of jobs with few interviews, second place consistently. That's a frustrating place to be. Unhappy, wants a change. We've got the big fat salary. Of course we do. Everybody wants that. So we've got a fair mix then across the board of where everybody kind of is, which is good to see. Now, everyone in this group will get at least one tip in this session that you'll benefit from. and that'll help progress things and take you forward in this type of opportunity. So stay tuned. And again, if you don't get a tip or you've got a question about the tips, there's the Q&A for those who are here live and that can jump in and ask any questions. And again, if you're watching the recording, just drop a comment on YouTube and I will get back to you. Okay. So this is the reality of the job market that I'm going to cover. It's all well and good talking about tips and things you can do, but the context is really important so you understand why you need to do these things. Then we're going to talk about the strategy. So there's the gold mine of the tips that I'm going to cover that will help you go through this overall process. Finally, the support. So basically, I'm going to talk you through the Career Transition Club, and it's a bit of an offer of how I can help you beyond this webinar. Stick around, let me talk you through it, and hopefully you can help and support it. And if you're interested, you'll learn more. And then finally, a live Q&A session. This is just going to be a group coaching session where, again, those who are on the live call can ask me anything they want to. Okay. So let's get started. So can you tell me what percentage of the UK workforce is currently unemployed? So this is the number of percentage currently who are out of work and in the market. Select your answer for me. Okey so the majority of people think it is 5.4. The answer is actually 4.9. And I guess that's slightly better than 5.4, but only a year ago it was sitting around 3.8. So that's where you were seeing the challenge at the moment. There are more people currently out of work. Therefore, more people applying for opportunities and actively seeking more opportunities or feeling that pressure to go and find their next role. So within the corporate space, what do you think is the average amount of applications received for each role? So this is when a job vacancy is posted, how many CVs get submitted for each of those jobs that are put through. 244. No one selected 39 or 75. So 39 is what it was 2 years ago. 75 is what it was a year ago. 112 is where it was back in January. And 244 is where it is as of May. I couldn't find a sooner statistic on that. And this stat comes from an application tracking software package that's commonly used in corporate places. And the reason why a lot of that's happening is because there's a lot of these like self-apply tools that are coming out of nowhere using the wonder that is AI. And taking a CV, tailoring that CV, instantly applying, and the recruiters that I'm talking to want to set fire to them because the quality of CVs is awful and the way that the applications come in is flooding people. So it's making it really hard for them to actually do their job. So that's why we're getting such a big spike. It's not that there's 240, well, there are 244 applicants, but I wouldn't call them active applicants who are seriously pursuing what their next role could look like. So on average, how long is it currently taken from the time a job is posted to an offer being made? So that is me working for a company as a recruiter posting a job till the day me as a recruiter makes that offer. Okay, so the majority are saying 75 to 90 days, and that's exactly right. We're not quite at 90 to 105 days yet. This stat was pulled from June, whenever I had a look at these numbers. And yeah, the reason it's taken longer again is because it's been flooded with applicants. And then because there's so much talent to choose from, the recruiters and hiring managers are having to add more layers of complexity so they can select the right candidate. So what does this all mean for the UK job market ultimately? There are more candidates, there are less jobs, and the strategy that you have in your application is crucial. So basically, you're going to have all of those people applying, then less people getting an interview, and that one guy who's really happy, I don't know where he got a balloon, but he has got the job offer at the end of this overall process. So that's what you're up against, and that's what needs to be done. So rather than scaremongering you any further, let's give you some practical tips as to how you can actually beat this and sort of work through the different elements. So the first one I'm going to cover is all about targeting the right kind of roles. You have to work out what your key transferable skills are. It's really easy to know the role that you've done, what the last job title is. But if you actually sit down and think, right, what are my skills? That can help you attract the right role and move into the right space. Then map out what your preferences are. Okay. So if you really didn't like something about your old job, why apply for a job that's going to put you back in that space? it's not what you want to be doing moving forward. So trying to work out what your preferences are and ultimately what your compromisable things are to help you get the right role. And yes, define what your non-negotiables are ultimately. You've got to, if you know that you can't travel or you know that you don't want to do a full-time in the office role, don't waste your time by going for those kind of roles. And that might sound obvious, but the rejection cycle is crazy. Whenever you start getting rejected for roles that you either think are too junior for you or go against your non-negotiables, that can really impact. And if you're applying for the right roles, you're making this machine work much better. So I would say where you've got 70% of the transferable skills, go for it as long as it matches your preferences and especially your non-negotiables, because that will make sure that your rejection rate isn't on the floor because you need your well-being protected in this kind of environment. Where you apply matters. This is a really important factor of it because a lot of the time people use different methods and they don't get the chance to progress forward and wonder why, but actually how you make your application can make a big difference. So the number one source is employee referrals. Go and find people that work there and get a referral in. That tends to work out more favorable for the companies, which is why they progress that forward. Go direct to the company website if you know that you want to work for that company, because again, there's just less cost involved for the company and it shows that you're proactively interested in there. Following that, have a look at the industry specific job boards that are out there. So if you work in tech, if you work in accounting, if you work across different industries, there will be job boards that specialize in certain roles. And the reason these do better is because recruiters know that they attract good caliber candidates. So they look there in order to try and find them. Next is your generic job boards. Look at Indeed and LinkedIn and find the jobs in those type of opportunities. They can help find good opportunities when you dive deep and have your alert set up in the right way. Then you've got recruitment agencies, and they're not bottom of the list because they're least effective, far from it. It's just that a lot of the time recruitment agencies will work on behalf of the client. Sometimes they're working trying to secure the client. So if you work with a recruitment agent who tries to put you forward for a role but doesn't necessarily work for that client, you think you're in the mix, but you're not quite. Okay. So you just need to be really clear with recruitment agencies whether they're already working for the client or not. They've got less time at the minute as well, to be honest. There's so many people in the market at the moment that they can't give the same time that they used to. Um, the last on that list, and the reason it is grey and slightly further down, is LinkedIn Easy Apply. If any of you are using Easy Apply to apply for jobs, any jobs, I need you to stop with immediate effect. Okay. And I will explain why. With LinkedIn, you have, with Easy Apply, basically, it recommended a job to me where I was a top applicant to be a solutions architect for Workday compensation. I used Workday as a user. Okay. I had like a higher level of reporting access. That was it. I've never worked in compensation. I've never been a solutions architect. But if I was a job seeker and LinkedIn's telling me I'm a top applicant, I'm going to hit that button because I'm a top applicant. Why wouldn't I? The problem that causes is recruiters look at it on the other side and go, Easy Apply. It's full of nonsense applications. So even though you might be talented, you're in a pool of people who aren't. So Google that job and find it off the platform. Go to the company website, go to a different job board, whatever you need to do, but do not apply via LinkedIn Easy Apply. And if that's something that you need to learn from this session, then I have done my job. Okay. Finally, tailor your CV, or not finally, there's definitely more to come. Um, People often think that if they submit their CV, they've got one version of it and they just pop it in, then that'll do the job and get it over the line. But again, you're up against 244 people here. So identify the keywords in the job description and make sure that that matches. So if it talks about team leadership in the job description and you're talking about people management, change your language to team leadership. Speak the same language as the job description. Any key experience you've got should be throughout the CV. So look at the job description, check the key experience, and make sure that your skills are matching. And finally, this is another one that I see as an easy apply one. 10 years is the limit to what you should be putting in your CV. Anything further back is outdated compared to the role that you're going for today. And this is one that a lot of people struggle with because you might have a role that you were really proud of over 10 years ago, or you might want to showcase the 20 years of experience you've got. But the reality is, if you have to go that far back to showcase your skills and experience, you're competing against someone who did that in their last role. So sticking with 10 years removes a bit of an ageism filter and it focuses your application so it scores higher with ATS and gets you an interview. Okay. So all of these things make you rank higher. It makes you get in front of a human hiring manager, and then they'll want to take you forward for an interview if you've done all these key steps. Okay. Next, we've got the elevator pitch for the interview. Okay. So when you start with an interview, a lot of people rock up and say, right, tell me about yourself, talk me through your CV. Can you give me an overview of your background? And then we start going, in 1987, I was born. I went to school in this place and I did a paper round and my first job was a restaurant. This isn't what you need to be doing. They've got your CV. They've looked at your experience. They've got a good overview of exactly who you are and what you do. So don't read that CV out loud and don't exceed 2 minutes when you're answering this question. Okay. What you need to do instead is start with a strong credibility statement that summarizes your experience. So I'm Tony McBride. I've been a career coach for 9 years and I've worked within the corporate space for 20 years. Provide one or two headlines that showcases your achievements for the role. So I've helped over 150 people secure roles who've struggled to get those opportunities. Across that patch, I've helped others try and make sure that they get their goals and land the right CV in order to secure their goals. And highlight how these key skills combined would make me a great fit for the role. So based on the fact that I've helped 150 people and based on the fact that I've been able to secure roles in top companies for individuals like Google, I'd be a great fit to help you if you needed help with your job search. Okay. So that is the elevator pitch. That's the kind of way you need to be opening up your job interview so that it starts a more conversational style and gives them the chance to absorb that impact and understand what you can do. So, as I said, tell me in the comments, first of all, what you think your key takeaway is going to be and what you'll do differently, because I want to know which tip lands best for future webinars like this. Again, if you're watching the recording, tell me in the comments on YouTube exactly what you're going to do differently. So drop it in there so I can have a quick look. Now, most people do plod along, learning through their mistakes. They fail to take the corrective action. They do a bit of trial and error and they hope for the best in terms of that overall piece. You're already a step ahead of that because you chose to join this webinar today. So you might be fed up, you might be wanting to do something different, but the fact that you have watched this recording or turned up live to be part of this journey means that you want to do something different and you want that transformation to happen. So some of you might have got what you need from this webinar or this recording or in the comments in the Q&R later. But if you do wish to go a step beyond what you've done today, I'm here to help, okay? So as a reminder, here are the 6 core reasons that you told me you joined. You're out of work. You want to roll into a new role. You're unsure how you fit outside this organization. You're applying for lots of jobs, but not getting enough interviews, or you're getting those interviews, but you just can't quite get over the line. There's so much conflicting advice and you want that fat salary, okay? So what if we could work together so that I can make you become a top candidate? And this is me in Dublin. I went through 100 CVs in one day. It was awful, to be honest with you, but they left with great tips. It gave me a lot of insight as to lots of CVs at once as well. There's several ways I can help you, and I'm going to cover some of those now. And then I promise we'll get to the Q&A for those who are live on the call. I can do CV coaching where I do a deep dive with you. I write your CV. I show you how to tailor it. I give you the tools to do so, and I optimize your LinkedIn. And the goal of that is to help you write your story and progress to the job interview stage. I do career and CV coaching. So combining that CV part with understanding the types of roles that you've got the transferable skills to do, the preferences to do, and a strategy to go find those roles. And I also do career, CV, and interview coaching. So that's where I train you in interviews. I help you prepare your answers. I do a mock interview where I record it, which people tell me is evil, but it does work and it helps you understand exactly what you need to do differently. And you can combine all of that with the interview, the CV coaching, the career coaching, and all of those things. So if you feel like you'd benefit from that, and there's different packages, there's different tiers, you can scan the QR code at the bottom. I'm also going to drop this link. I like to speak to people before we do this. So if you're interested in this, let's have a chat and we will work out exactly what the best package is for you. So Hank is someone, a former client that I worked with. He was a service delivery manager and he worked in a pharmaceutical company for 8 years in total and progressed during his time there and, got to manager about a year before he was made redundant. They decided to offshore his team into India, I think it was. And just suddenly he was on the job market again. So it's a lot of news to process. If you've been through that, it is tough when you've been loyal to a company. But he dusted off his CV, added his experience, started to put it forward, and then realized that there were less relevant roles out there for him to apply for. So he recognized the challenge in the market. He was getting ghosted by recruiters. He was getting rejections. He just wasn't making any progress. So time was passing, and he got to the point where he was just losing faith, questioning his worth, worried about his financial security, and just doubting whether or not he would actually get a job again, knowing that a lot of the stuff he was doing was going offshore. So he got some support with his job applications. We worked out the kind of skills that he's got and started tailoring his CV for every role. That was the biggest change for him. Straight away, he started getting calls from recruiters to discuss new roles. And then he secured an interview for a service delivery manager role in a completely different industry. And yoo we got it. More money than he was on before, very quick return on investment, and ultimately back to work and feeling valued again. So it was a pleasure to work with Hank. I was really proud of him in this journey because he really was quite upset by the time we were speaking and definitely laughing by the time we were done. So I want to talk to you about the Career Transition Club as well. This is my favorite thing to do on a Monday. Basically, I have this group coaching call, and some of the people who are part of it are on this call. So thanks for coming along to see what I'm rambling about now. But basically, we do weekly group coaching sessions every Monday at 12. Typically, we move a couple for bank holidays or if I have plans, which is quite rare. And they come and ask me anything, basically anything, and I'll be able to answer that to help with their career journey. The thing that I love most about this, though, is that I deflect to the group to get their opinions too. Because as much as I sit here and coach people and help people through the journey, you guys are the one that apply and go through it every day. So it's great to get perspectives from others and sort of work through all that. Then I offer the job application tool. So basically, you upload your CV, upload the job description, and it helps you with every single job that you're applying for. So percentage match rating, whether you should go for it or not, basically. The recommendations on how to tailor your CV. It doesn't do it for you because I've never met an AI tool yet that can do it right. But it takes about 10 to 20 minutes to tailor your CV and prepare it for what it needs to be. And then once you're ready, it gives you the questions you might be asked based on your skills and experience to sort of help you through that process. And it can track your applications for you so you keep on top of it. I've built a little bot version of me called Ask Tony, which is kind of fun. And it's trained on all of my blogs that I've been writing since November 2024 every week. So there's no AI inferred nonsense in any of this. It uses AI. I'm not going to lie about that, but it's heavily guarded that it only speaks what I would say. And if it is asked anything that I wouldn't say, it goes away and says, go and ask Tony directly because I don't know. So if you come along and join that today, there's a little QR code there at the bottom as well. The cost is £65 a month. There are 10 places available because this doesn't work if it's overcrowded. I don't want to have 100 people in this group. I definitely want to make sure that it's the right number so everyone gets the right level of service. And if you join today, you'll get a 30-minute one-to-one with me where we can map out what might be going wrong for you and give you a bit of a strategy on how to fix it. So the link to the Career Transition Club is in the chat. Again, if you're watching the recording, it'll be in the comment, not the comments, in the description of the recording. And ultimately, if you come along and join us, we'll be able to sort of support you in that community. And if you're undecided, this is some of the feedback I've had with the community. So this is someone who joined it a while back. Career Transition Club really benefited from getting up to speed because they had been out in the same role for 20 years and just thought they could dust off their CV. So we really helped Kev work through that process and see what to do differently. This is someone who took out the VIP coaching and decided to extend the journey. So they found the job application tool really helpful, found the career coach session helpful, support group increasingly valuable in terms of hints and tips, but also just good for the mental health to have other people who are part of that journey. So I really like seeing that come through because that was exactly why I've set this up. Here's some feedback from another guy. So again, using the job application tool to understand exactly what he's capable of, and then the WhatsApp community to come and ask questions and benefit from that. So getting that real kind of real-time support is there and available. Here's some successes from the WhatsApp group and to showcase a little bit of how we use this. So this is someone who had their first in-person interview in nearly 10 years. So we're just in there celebrating those successes that progress as they kind of work through that space. Someone else who just finished their final interview and were told that they were going to get an offer within that. So we're obviously all there in the WhatsApp group to celebrate that. Someone else who, after 4 months of trying to find a role and then working with me and joining the group, managed to secure a contract. And not something they would have considered before, but actually recognizing that this was a good opportunity to learn something different. This guy was working for a company and sadly got dismissed. But his confidence was kind of gone. But after 6 weeks, we got him into Deloitte. So I was really happy to see that for him. And actually, in the end, he had 2 or 3 offers to choose from because he's very talented, despite his story and what happened in the last company. They just didn't see his value, but we were able to help him see it for himself. I don't know if any of you have tried to apply to Revolut, but they're really difficult to get into. And this person had another interview lined up and got the job offer for Revolut. So I convinced her to go and talk to them about walking away from the other offer if they offer more money. And she actually ended up getting an extra 4 grand a year. So again, well worth the investment of just having that conversation, because she immediately said, I can't do that. And then come back 10 minutes later and say, I just did that. Very proud of that one. So another one getting a job offer. And then this was my favorite one from last week. I went to see the Lion King musical. And someone felt the need to come back and say a Pride Rock update. Met with a recruiter, job application tool, Hakuna Matata makeover. The circle of life's moving in the right direction, and try not to scar your chances. As you can see, and I didn't actually know that this cup would be sat here, but I'm a massive Lion King fan. So we're just here for the banter, okay? As much as we're here to pick each other up as part of that overall pace. So come and join us. There is the QR code. There is the link to be able to join us. And basically, as I said, if you are one of the first 5 who joined today, you'll get a 30-minute one-to-one and a job search strategy audit with me. So we can go through the detail and make sure we can support you. Okay. So we're going to move on then to the Q&A at this point. So these are the links basically to join the socials, the links to the QR code, the links to the Career Transition Club that you can see here. So if you're watching the recording, we're going to stop at this point. So if you want to keep the conversation going, find me online, okay? And here's all the ways that you can do that. And for those who are sticking around on the live call, we are now going to start the one-to-one. And again, for those watching the recording, just ask a comment and a question. So thank you very much for the viewers.